Thanks for your company. Let's settle for the details now. The governing MPP has described the month of September as one characterized by fulfillment of its key campaign promises as it hit at the opposition NDC for what they described as unbelief in the free SHS policy from the onset. The party today addressed the news conference to inaugurate an 11-member committee to look into proposals for amendment of the party's constitution, as well as speak on issues of national concern. Acting General Secretary John Buedo listed the launch of the free SHS policy, a paperless port system, and one factory under the industrialization program as an indication of their commitment to fulfilling all campaign promises. John Buedo said those who doubted the free SHS policy can now see it for themselves.
This month of September will surely be written in the annals of Ghana's history as a month of fulfillment and prosperity for the Ghanaian people. The September narrative, as you will all bear testimony, has been one of fulfilled promises. It started with the implementation of a paperless technology at the nation's ports, which makes it easier and convenient for people to clear their goods from the port due to the digitization of the clearance regime and removal of human elements. This laudable policy also makes it possible for government to plug the loopholes in our revenue collection system at the ports, as evidenced in the available data, which shows, for instance, that revenue at the port has increased from 130 million in the first week of September to 213 million in the same period of 2017, representing a whopping 56% revenue improvement for the state. Again, the government's flagship campaign program or promise, dubbed One District, One Factory, has successfully taken off in this month of September. In fact, it took off last month, September, with historic launch at Ekumfi in the central region. Finally, and perhaps more importantly, the much talked about free SHS, which the MPP, particularly our 2016 presidential candidate then, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has been associated with, has come to fruition, despite all the bastardization and the cynicism from our political opponents. These cynics, particularly Leo Kran, former Minister for Education, told us that if free SHS was ever possible in Ghana, Dr. Nkrumah would have implemented it. Well, facts are that you all know it didn't happen under Nkrumah, but it is happening live under His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the new Patriotic Party. The MPP has clearly shown, both in words and in deeds, that our unwavering commitment to investing in the future of our country through education cannot be matched. The records are there for all to see. This free SHS promise again has been realized in the month of September. What a blessed month. That is not all. The month of September is also going to witness the full realization of more flagship programs of the MPP government, including the implementation of teacher training allowances, as well as the nursing training allowances, among several others. The party is much content with these developments and wishes to commend government for living up to its legitimate expectation of the Ghanaian people. Indeed, the way for Ghana has always been the MPP way. We note with concern that there will be challenges, obviously. Challenges not necessarily associated with free SHS, challenges associated with the new system that we introduced when we were in power, computer placement system. And we are seeing a few of them happening. It is not because of free SHS in the first place. We will still be working at it. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with.
The 11-member committee inaugurated by the party has been handed 2 months to take a look at the proposal and present its report to the party. Is to be chaired by Vice Chairman of the party FF Anto with Deputy Attorney Generals Joseph Benka-Dendiok and Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, among others, as members.
Today we have met here to inter alia officially inaugurate the ad hoc committee that was formed by National Council at its meeting yesterday, following the orders of National Conference. The committee's mandate is not. The committee's mandate, as noted earlier, is to streamline all the proposals of the constitutional amendment as received by the party, determine the substance and workability of each proposal, and present their reports, which shall be in the form of a draft constitution to National Conference through National Council for consideration and adoption. The committee has a membership of 11 and will be chaired by FF Anto, the vice chairman of our party. Other members of the special committee include Honorable Obi Amoah, who has been working with this party for a very, very long time, has been a member of the youth wing of this party. A lot of the development that you see in this party has been part of that development. We have Joyce Opoku Boateng, who has also been instrumental in a lot of things that we do. We have Honorable Joseph Penka, Deputy Attorney General, who has been Secretary of our party in Upper East, is now the Deputy Attorney General of our country, Ghana. We have Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, who is known to all of you. He's been part of almost all our legal battles in our party and has distinguished himself very well. Honorable Hakma Usuajiman is a member. He said, I want to be the father of the committee and help in making sure everything is done. We have Honorable Ben Abdallah, who is the MP for Offenso South. He's the chairman of the Constitutional and Legal Committee of Parliament. We have Mrs. Agnes Okujeto, who was the first vice chairperson of our party for 2 terms, and she's coming with vast experience. We have Mr. Ntweje, who is almost the store of all our records in our party over the years, been working for this party since its inception and has been of great help to this party. We have Richard Asante Yeboah, who has been part of the youth wing and the party movement over the period. Then we have Mrs. Joyce Ajiman Atefa, who is also a lawyer by profession. You will see clearly that the committee comprises people who have rich knowledge and experience in party organization and, more importantly, on legal matters, since these considerations are very critical to their work. That is why you find the 2 learned AGs as part of this committee, with the likes of Honorable Hackman and FF Anto, among others, as critical members of this committee. Per the resolution of National Conference, this ad hoc committee has 2 months within which to present its final report to.
Away from the NPP, Shraj has justified its decision to demolish the old Parliament House building despite outcry by some MPs insisting the structure was endangering staff. The demolition last week was met with criticism from some MPs who said the structure should have been preserved and used as a tourist site. They also questioned why Parliament was not consulted before the exercise. But Deputy Shraj Commissioner Richard Quayson says the House gave approval for the demolition.
I'm sure the parliamentarians probably who are happy may not have the full facts. If you recall, in December, to be specific, 19th of December 2013, the old parliamentary chamber and sections of the office of charge, including section of the office of Yoko, the judgment death investigator, those offices got burnt completely. Those offices were destroyed completely beyond redemption. And we have been trying to demolish this structure over a period. We have not had the budgetary support to do it. This year, by God's grace, the government has supported us with budgetary allocation. Do we wait for the building now to endanger lives of staff of charge before we act. Because anybody could charge us for negligence if anything happened like that.
But did you adequately draw Parliament's attention to this before going ahead with this demolition?
In fact, the truth is that even Parliament approved a budget for us to demolish this structure. So I don't know. It's possible that probably we should have done some consultations again before the actual work was done. But this year, before our budget was approved, the provision was in our budget requesting for allocation for demolition of the structure.
And the AMA as well, because they also came out to indicate that you hadn't...
AMA for the permit to demolish the structure. But they wrote back to us to ask us to produce title to the property. How can a state institution like CHRAJ, a constitutional body, which has been given the place to occupy since 1993, now be asked to produce title?
So you ignored them?
We didn't ignore. We wrote back to them to explain that we are in legal occupation as a result of our being a constitutional body created on the 1992 Constitution and allocated our premises. But they still delayed in issuing the permits. And you know that once it's this year's budget, if we don't complete the exercise and do the work that we have been given a budget to do this year, and it lapses, you have to now go and make another application next year and justify why you could not do it this year. So that is why we went ahead with it.
Now, Ghana is ranked 72 out of 131 countries in education. This makes Ghana the second best performing country in sub-Saharan Africa after Rwanda ranked 71. Sub-Saharan Africa is, however, the worst performing region in the world. The ranking was published in the World Economic Forum's Human Capital Report, which measures knowledge and skills people possess that enable them to create value in the global economic system. We have Executive Director for the Institute of Education Studies, IFES, Peter Ainty, on the line to discuss this further. Hello, sir. Thank you for joining us here on News Today.
Thank you.
Now, top performing country in the worst performing region. Should we be happy about this or concerned?
I think that we are doing a little bit better, but as my Peter would say, it's like you are the best among the weak lot. It's important that we don't over-jubilate, because we are competing in a global sphere where these countries that are doing well are also have kids that would also be coming out with our own kids. And therefore, getting around 70, 71, thereabouts is not that encouraging from my perspective.
All right, Mr. Ainty, this comes at a time when we are rolling out the free senior high school program. What impact will this policy, have on the human capital development of the country?
Thank you very much. I think the idea is that the global acceptable limit is that by 70% of your population, I mean your working class or the total population, should be able to reach the human capital level that is supposed to get to. And Ghana, we are around 60%. I think the introduction of the free SHS is going to help educate more people and push us to a little up high. But the point is that if you look at the report critically, you see that the focus is not on just giving access. The focus is more on the kind of things that the students are taking through, the skills that they develop, the content, the curricula that they go through, that will make them more proactive. So if the government is investing this much in education, we should be equally concerned on the nature or the kind of quality that will come out after the student has gone through this process. And that is why the call for quality is more important at this time than ever before.
So what do you think we are lacking most in our education sector, and how do we bridge the gap?
What we are lacking most, and I think the current administration has taken steps to address them. One is the content of our curriculum. And I'm aware that there is a curriculum review that is ongoing now, pre-tertiary curriculum review that is ongoing now, and that is very important. Apart from that, the supervision and monitoring is key to achieve quality education. we should take a critical look at how we supervise and monitor teaching and learning in our various schools, especially at the secondary school level. One other thing that we should also be very, we should look at is how we train our teachers, because these teachers are those who implement the curriculum. So our teacher education program should have a complete overhaul. We should look at the development of the teacher in 3 different areas. We should look at developing the teacher in pedagogy, developing the teacher in subject matter, and developing the teacher in personal disposition. These are 3 critical areas that a teacher should be well versed in order to deliver the kind of education that we want our kids to have. If you're able to tackle some of these things, I think that by the time that we get to 2030, we will be able to project that we have a very big human capital base that has been well developed. If we don't tackle that now, if we don't talk about policy now, we would invest so much in education, but at the end of the day, we will not reap the benefits of what investment we are doing now.
Thank you very much for your time here on Joy News today. That was Peter Ainty, Executive Director of the Institute for Educational Studies. Let's still focus on education. Poor education infrastructure at Bunuso in the Asante Mampong municipality is making acquisition of knowledge hell for children. Crumbling ceilings, cracked walls and potholed floors characterize conditions under which academic work is conducted. Pupils sit on stones, wooden logs and even on the bare floor. Joy News' Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin journeyed to the predominantly farming community, and here's his report.
Visit, the school was on break and teachers had left for their respective bases. According to residents, the unplastered mud classroom walls are usually washed away by rain. The weak, insecure and fallen structure with leaking roofs make it unsafe for human habitation. Children are compelled to sit on logs and endure all the harsh conditions.
There was a day the building nearly collapsed on my grandchildren. So please come to our aid and construct a new school for us. The structure can collapse on the children. They run back home anytime they go to school, and we can't blame the teachers. It is not their fault. Anytime it rains, they have to run back home.
Community leaders say neglect of the school without renovation put children in danger. Then I chanced on this structure close to the Bunuso M primary school. It started 4 months ago to replace the old mud block. Thomas Apiakobi is Municipal Chief Executive of Asante Mampong.
During the 2016 electioneering campaign, I came here as a constituency chairman to observe that the classrooms, the supposed classroom in which the children of Bunuso are attending or having their learning activities was not something that was the best. Okay. So as a chairman that time, I promised the people here that should the party come to power and should Nanado become the president, Nanado will make all efforts to ensure that the right and the better place is provided for the children of Bunuso for the primary school activities. So by the grace of God, the party won, and the honors of Nanado Danko Akufo-Addo, I became the MC for the municipality. So my party coordinator here, the SMC, the assemblyman and the headmaster for this school came to my office to remind me of the promise that I made on behalf of the party. So I also sat down with my lieutenants and my team at the assembly to look at the quickest means through which we will provide the better accommodation for our children at Bunuso for the primary school activities. So we initially drew a program or a plan so that we could provide a pavilion type of classroom for the children, and in the future we'll be able to continue and then add some values or some other cost to it, so that it becomes a full-fledged classroom block.
Our elders say if you have a serene environment, you would have a peace of mind.
If our children have a convenient place to study and learn, then we are also happy. We are very happy. This new structure comes handy for the children, but they have to wait for a while to enjoy its comfort. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reporting.
Let's stay in the education sector. As the free senior high school policy commences, it will be easy to assume that parents have enough free cash to buy stationery with their wards will need for the new academic year. An ultimate beneficiary of this policy will be the owners and operators of bookshops where such items will be needed. Daniel Dazi visited a bookshop at the Mokola Market in Accra to see if this is indeed the case.
The Makola Market is often a beehive of activities. Buyers and sellers alike briskly doing business. During special occasions such as the beginning of an academic year, the market welcomes another set of shoppers who often require more space than usual. Parents and students stocking up on stationery and provisions have taken over the market, rushing to get all essentials in order to beat the reopening date deadline. Bookshop operators, in recognition of this increased demand, have also stepped up their game by engaging their own version of Goro boys or people who go out and convince customers to bring in their business. But not all shoppers here are free senior high school beneficiaries. Some are like Samuel Asari, who is finding it difficult to fill his primary 4 nieces book list.
I need A3 sketch drawing book. I need pencils, erasers, and also some textbook that she'll be using.
Have you been able to get these things easily on the market?
Not at all. I've been finding some challenges getting these books. You go to some bookshop and they will tell you that maybe they don't have it. Others too, you go there and they don't have the right book that you're looking for. So it has been a challenge to me because I came here in the morning. As at now, I'm still looking for books to buy, so it has not been easy at all.
How many shops have you visited?
So far, this is the 3rd shop that I'm visiting. And when I came to, they are saying that what I'm having, they don't have. So I have to also go elsewhere and see if I can get the books for my nephew.
How expensive are the things that you're buying?
Actually, I brought 200 CDs, and as at now, I'm only having 20 CDs left. And I don't think 200 CDs will be okay for me. I have to do some transfer to add up so that I will get the right books today.
So at this time of the year, shops like this are usually the destination for most parents across the country. Of course, no matter how free your school fees are, you still have to buy some stationery for the kids. You still have to buy some supplies for your boarders, especially for the boarders. So I'm here with one of the attendants here at this shop here in Makola to find out from him how business is doing and then how parents are reacting to this new free SHS policy. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
So first of all, tell me about how business is like, especially with this announcement of free SHS where parents don't have to worry about school fees.
Particularly this particular year, book season, the parents are complaining about money. They say there's no money in the system. So when you calculate for them, they ask you to reduce. But since from last week, Friday, the business is going on small.
From what do you think changed the way the market is between last week, Friday, and now?
Because the school has resumed. So whether you like it or not, whether you have money or not, you have to buy it at all costs. So they are rushing to buy them.
When we were coming, I was hearing people shouting about free SHS and saying that, you know, supporting the policy. Do you think that announcement has made any sort of effect on the work you do?
Yeah, when Ghanaians heard something about free, they thought all is free. When they say free SHS, they thought books too is also for free. So they find it difficult to buy books, but we are managing.
Now, government is saying that they'll be supplying textbooks or for in some course subjects, for not all subjects, but just a few course subjects for the students. Do you feel like this will take away from the work you do in any way?
I perfectly agree. It will take away our business. It will affect us too much. So we are praying that if government will supply them with books, it will not be money. It will be few, so that we can also make our small business.
Some bookshop operators are, however, optimistic that in the coming days, the free SHS policy will have a greater impact on their business. For Joy News, I'm Daniel Dazi.
Let's remain with education. Newly enrolled pupils of African Faith Basic School at Santasi Jericho in Kumasi would wish to forget the day they reported to school. Hopes of being ushered into a cozy environment ended in disappointment as they took their maiden lessons in a privately owned, uncompleted building. This is part of the realities Kumasi City Mayor Hosea Esibe was confronted with during a tour of some public basic schools.
The school, which was established and managed by the African Faith Church, was absorbed into the public system 2 years ago. The ground floor of the uncompleted storage structure has accommodated the nursery and kindergarten classes. Children share the room with poultry kept by the private developer, besides absence of doors and windows, which leaves children at the mercy of the weather. Landlady Mary Nsia says compassion for the children is the reason for allowing them to use the facility. She says, I see these young ones as my own grandchildren, so I can't deny them space in my house. These are our future leaders, so we have to treat them well. I also help the older ones by keeping their books in my sitting room. At the primary and junior high school levels, about 250 pupils sit under sheds. Each time it rains, school must be closed down. JHS3 students who are preparing for the basic education certificate examination have no writing board after severe rainstorm blew one away. Teachers say they sometimes have to contribute money to buying teaching and learning materials. Louise Ade is headmaster.
It was, but until yesterday that the wind blew and then the blackboard was what took away.
So when it rains heavily, what do you do? Because I see
the school has to be closed down. When it rains heavily, the school has to be closed down. With these conditions, they'll be able to make it. Why not if things are in place? Yeah.
Meanwhile, City Mayor Hosea Esibe says a report on the plight of teachers and children has been forwarded to the Ministry of Education for action.
Have given us the mandate. So once they've given us the mandate, we have to brace ourselves up for all the challenges. All what I can assure them is that we will work on it and we'll make sure that today they are here in hardship, but very soon they will be happy. What I want to say is I want to take this opportunity to thank the teachers here for the sacrifices that they've made in making this school a reality, and especially the landlord who has also volunteered and given us 2 apartments for being used as classrooms. She has also done what even Napoleon cannot do. I will take this opportunity to thank that landlord. But I want to assure them that the Honorable Member of Parliament, Honorable Kennedy, has brought this issue up and it has already been forwarded to the Minister of Education. So once I have seen it myself, I will fast track with an action to make sure they get a new school.
Reporting for Joy News, Nana Ojima, Kumasi.
Away from education, the Upper West Regional Security Council has placed a ban on the felling of rosewood and any other tree species in the region. They've also warned that vehicles carrying rosewood and other logs will be confiscated and offenders will be prosecuted jointly with the Regional Forestry Commission if necessary. The ban means it has revoked permits given to 24 lumber companies last July by the Forestry Commission. Deputy Upper West Regional Minister Amidu Chinya Isaku disclosed this at a media briefing. Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
Minister of Lands and Natural Resources acting through the executive director of the Forestry Commission in August 2015, issued a letter and granted permit to 15 companies to process alleged lion and confiscated rosewoods in the northern and upper regions of the country. The letter at the time did not specify the quantity and exact location of the rosewoods, which gave the companies leeway to indiscriminately cut fresh woods. The cutting of the rosewood species then went out of hand, forcing the Upper West Regional Security Council in July 2016 to not only ban the cutting of the species, but its transportation out of the region as well. It appears the indiscriminate felling of the rosewood species is back following the granting of permit to 24 companies by the Forestry Commission last July to celebrate rosewoods in the Upper West region. Concerned about the massive destruction of the environment, which has adverse effect on the lives of the people, the Upper West Regional Security Council inaugurated a 40-member task force and given a 5-point mandate. Deputy Upper West Regional Minister Amidu Chinia Isaku enumerated on the scope of work of the task force.
The first mandate is for them to oversee and stop the lifting of rosewood and other tree species from the Upper West region. The second one is to prevent the felling of fresh rosewood and other tree species in the region. The third one is to impound trucks carrying rosewood and other tree species and confiscate the wood, and also prosecute the offenders jointly with the Forestry Commission when the need arises. The fourth mandate is for them to conduct periodic checks in the districts to ascertain the situation and submit quarterly reports to the Regional Security Council, RESEC. And the last one is for them to perform any other duties that RESEC would assign them from time to time.
Mr. Amidu blamed the invasion of maize farms in the region by the fall armyworm on the cutting of the rosewoods, which used to serve as an abode for the fall armyworm. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam.
Now, business activities at the Aflao border have hit an all-time low this year, with the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, lagging behind trade targets by 45%, whilst revenue generation dropped by 22%. Now, last month, when Joy News checked with the Customs Division of the GRA, the tensions in Togo had no impact on business at the border, but the story is now different as the baggage hall, long room and transit sections of the customs remain virtually empty. Favor Nunu has been following up on this and reports that business is gradually grinding to a halt.
What you're seeing today here on this compound is an empty space. Now, on a very normal day, what happens here is that the entire space, as you see, is usually very filled to capacity. These articulated vehicles and trucks that you're seeing parking around here have actually reduced in number. We're learning that usually the whole space is very filled, and you usually would not find some space to move around because there will be young men who are loading products into these vehicles just so the owners can then transit out of the country. What we're seeing here is a drop in business, and we're learning that this is as a result of the ongoing political tensions that we're experiencing in Togo.
Sometimes it is the problem from the Togos which is doing all those things, because sometimes if the Togo port is free, sometimes the goods comes here providedly, but now the goods are not coming like how they came first. It's affecting us because sometimes if we do this one, sometimes you get small money.
How much do you make when you load a food truck?
It depends on the goods that we load. Okay. Sometimes we can load a food truck to collect 10 million or 5 million.
And then you share?
Yes.
Okay.
So actually me, I used to get like 500,000 or 20 CD a day like that sometimes.
But with today and yesterday, how has it been for you? What have you been making?
It's not only today and yesterday. From last week, how the things are going in Togo, that is why we are also, it is affecting us also here.
Yeah, we used to load 2 times a week. 2 times a week. But now only once a week.
Once a week. Why are you now loading once a week instead of twice?
Because of the Togo
a problem. But we hope that maybe next week things will be fine. It's affecting because our people there, they used to call us here. But actually, we used to wait two days to get to Abidjan. But around now, 1 week.
So we're still at the floor border, and we're trying to follow up on exactly how things are panning out. We've engaged with some of the loaders. We've also located some drivers who will be speaking to shortly. Send a business here, Koso.
Business in the say no to go some of in some business and Koso, load no cry, Gina, Yabi. Cars in this is no man ma as a free Togo Mona Bania Farco. And I'm some of Moya and Hobasa in load no ma. The Ginawas I be a Gina by 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Load no ma. And Numina Gina, I almost said a bear on Bejama, load no Bama, Timania Bia Corner, Yayini, and Manmuswania Bia, the young Comunia Bini. The Gina Hosa, Yansu cry, chop one cry, Nibina, the Gina Hosa, near home train.
Everything has just come down. Now everything has spoiled because of the political issues they are taking there, so that we can't enter port inside to load. That one too is a big issue. If you do something for us.
The evidence of business grounding to a halt could be seen at the long room unit of the Customs Division, where some traders could be seen lying on benches taking a nap, following from the pace at which business was picking up.
Here in the long room, we work on heavy consignments, like goods coming from the port or goods in a articulator or cargo trucks. And from what is happening in Togo, the complaints I have received here is that some of the shops are not open for goods to be loaded to the Ghana side, and that has slowed down work a bit. Actually, I noticed things have slowed down. They had their Salah. So it's about a week or two now that things have slowed down a bit. Yes.
How much are we losing in terms of revenue, especially people coming in, declaring what they have, and being able to get taxes off it?
Actually, I cannot talk for the whole section, but for my section, a shortfall of about, I would say it has gone down by about 22% or so, but I don't think it's so bad. We'll try and then catch up when working groups. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Favor Nuno with that report. It's not all bad news in the business sector, because local oil production in the Asante Achim South District in the Ashanti region has received a boost.